Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the well-being stream within Coaching and Mentoring Festival. Today, I have the pleasure to start a new journey with Markus Porcher, and he will probably tell his name a little bit better because Markus is a German, and Vlad is also going to accompany us along the way. Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hello.
to this conversation. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Marcus. Oh, Marcus got
We
disconnected.
we lost him.
We lost him. Yes,
Yeah,
but I hope he's coming back.
he'll come back.
He will come back. This is what's happening in online events.
Yeah, not sure if it's something Chinese.
Oh,
I think
definitely,
I
definitely
think
not.
in other countries is the part is disappearing and appearing.
Pot să închid broadcast-ul și să-l deschid din nou când vine?
Uh, no, I don't think so. We can talk a bit until Marcus is back.
Yes.
Uh, just to find out your opinion on this subject because
On
you
the
are
Chinese wisdom, yes, and
yeah.
coaching and mentoring.
Mhm.
So I got to the Chinese wisdom. Actually, my first introduction was Qigong, which I knew nothing about, which I have experienced during a retreat. A retreat that had a purpose to reduce stress and, it was designated for people that would face a burnout. And we are maybe accustomed to, to do the exercises. So physical movement is always indicated when you want to bring back balance, because balance it's involving also the body, the physical well-being. And most common it is yoga exercises are more popular, but I've tried different styles of yoga along the time, and every style brings you something different. But I always felt a bit challenged with the stretching, and I got into this retreat to experience Qigong. And Qigong, of course, you have posture and exercises that you can also do sitting or lying on the floor. But the ones that I've tried were standing. And for me, it worked really well because it combined the breathing with the movement and um, with the setting of the intention. So I'm seeing that Marcus is trying to reconnect here, and I'm giving him the yes. Um, and it worked better for me from that moment, and I got curious. I've enjoyed it so much, and then I went my way to find more about what is this, what is Qigong. And so I found that Qigong is actually one of the pillars, so to speak, in traditional Chinese medicine. And I think Marcus also will refer to that next to nutrition, herbalism, massage, and acupressure and acupuncture. And I searched on the internet, as one does, and on YouTube to find people that practice qigong. And I actually found Lee Holden, who is an Western master in qigong. He's based in California, and I loved his very easy way of explaining things. So it wasn't really complicated, and it also had a lot of symbolism, and it would connect elements, I would say, of mindfulness, also with movement, but also with the health of your organs and with the entire approach and Chinese wisdom. And slowly, I've been practicing for about 3 years, and slowly, I got to learn more and more. about this, and it's quite an interesting way, different perspective. It's like you take one pair of glasses and you put another pair of glasses to look at the reality. And I love the fact that the Eastern medicine, and in the Eastern medicine you have the Ayurvedic approach, which goes, hand in hand with yoga and comes from the Hinduism and in the Indian space. And then you have the traditional Chinese medicine, which is coming from, well, China and that space, ultimately Asian content. That's why we call it Eastern. And what I love about their approach is they say that actually you pay the doctor only when you're healthy, and it is a very proactive approach, right? So the doctor needs to keep you healthy, and it's all about holistic, so it doesn't look at organs separately, it looks as everything is connected. It talks about the principle of the energy, invisible, and yeah, the Ayurveda talks about prana, and in the Chinese you talk about qi. Chi is the energy of life. It's something that is invisible. It's like a buzz. It's unexplained. I think scientifically you would say it's that electricity, because we know, the at the level of the cells, all atoms are connected and there is a charge there. So then all connected, all that actually it forms the chi. And the chi, it is also in plants and all of the living creature. And actually, interesting enough, in the Chinese wisdom, they will explain that form is very important, but the space between the form is also very valuable. Yes, and that was my passion. So when I got to meet up with Markus, who is experiencing some internet problem and is trying to reconnect. When I got to meet with Markus has a very interesting. So he got to the traditional Chinese medicine coming from being an experienced HR professional, and hopefully he will be able to connect, and he will tell us more about this. Um, he also was looking for something more holistic, so I think that what brought him to this topic, and he got to develop, I think, a sort of a survey, a tool, a way to create a profile that you can look for people, to learn about themselves, and ultimately to help in this development and self-development process. And so we got together, and I think we are here on this path to uncover, but I don't want to say too much because I want to leave Marcus to take us into this journey, in which I will accompany him with questions and maybe with underlining and bringing the bits of knowledge that I have acquired along the way.
Yeah, sure. We hope Marcus will succeed to connect his internet and rejoin us. And for sure, we'll let him to tell us his part. But also, I'm wondering, uh, from your experience, how you see the differences between the way each culture is doing own, I don't know how to name, own wisdom, because I have in mind also the, I hope I'm not wrong, the Indian, it's with yoga. Then
Yes, yeah, yeah.
then I think also Hebrew people has their own kind of doing things. For sure, probably the American style is with fitness mostly, and European, I don't know. Could be
I think there's many differences.
jogging.
Yes.
So is a culture thing, or is a way it develop, or how do you see
Well, yes, I think I'm really curious. For me, this journey it's about health and balance. That's why we are under this stream of well-being, and it's in this topic. And it is so interesting to discover that although in different parts of the world, and now we are all connected by internet, and you search everything, you search something and you find it in an instant. But if you think 3 4 thousand years back, um, people were bound to certain places, and they would got to know the world, and were developing, labeling, developing certain concepts, and approached, well, health issues, ultimately physical health issues, but not only physical, also mental, emotional. And they've used what they had, nature, right? So you
mhm,
have this concept in the past. So when we say wisdom, we reflect to something that is not necessarily scientifical, but it is this knowledge that gets, it's also coming from experience, discovery. I think it's a lot of try and error.
mhm,
And it's passed on from generation to generation. It is many times, it is spoken, it is not, it can be taught, but it can be also like caught learning. And then this is what gets passed on, and that's under the wisdom aspect. And I think science kind of took some of those things and try to uncover or measure it, or make it very scientifical. But when you look and you're asking about different culture, it is interesting to observe that same concept and principles, they are explained, they have different labels, but the process, the steps, the aim, it is the same. And you see it from, I think, if you look at religions, um, they are capturing the element of unseen, the invisible, what we can't see with the eye, what we don't understand. So then we start to give an explanation. So then you have different religion in different parts of the world. But then, well, ultimately, if you look, at the principles that they are using, and what they promote, ultimately is the same. It is love, it is connection, it is respect, in different words, in different saying. So that's one element, which is the spiritual. When it is about the physical body and well-being, it is the connection with nature, nutrition, very important. What do we eat? The quality. We need to have proteins. Maybe we didn't call them that, but it would be in one culture. It would be named in one way, and in another. This all of these elements, but they found themselves out. And yes, I think depending on the geography of the place, the natural resources you have, because for instance, if you look in a country like Norway that has many mountains and lots of forest and everything, you have the Nordic walking, right? So you have they've developed this style. And then if you are living by the sea, you will probably go more like boating and swimming and doing all of those things. But ultimately it's about the movement, right? So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question here with the difference between the culture. I think I want to bring this element also from the we know about yin and yang, right? So depending also a little bit on the cultural element, or also on if you have more heat or not, you can be more active. And I think if you look like at spinning and fitness and Zumba that is very young, that is doing, that is energizing. But you also have this type of movement like yoga and qigong, which are actually a little bit more yin, which is more reflective. It's being, it's breathing, it's slowing down, still movement. So it's movement of the body, and but maybe sometimes it's movement with intention, right? So rather than,
Mhm.
it's not the quantity, it is rather the quality, the detail, the doing less rather than doing more. And I think this is also a little bit where the culture differences start to show up.
Indeed. So, listening to you, I was also thinking to Romanians and try to connect. So, I'm not sure if we have something connected with physical activity. Um, I am sure that it's obvious that we have a lot of connection with spiritual side, and we have some kind of verbal wisdom, some proverbs that are popping up in my mind immediately when I'm thinking about health, like one apple a day keeps the doctor away, and opens the window to enter the sun to keep the health, and what else? We have also few of them in our narrative, national narrative.
Well, I
Uh,
think the Romanian
yeah,
culture.
I remember one which is actually not reminding us about a good period of time. This is from communism, with
Mhm.
any day with a fish,
Yes.
and what else? We probably will have few more. Maybe people watching us could give some suggestion in comments. Even if they are not Romanians, probably they have own wisdom in their country, and I do think also it's something usual for us to connect with the nature, to uh, walk without any shoes. I don't know how to say desculți in English.
Well, I mean, walk without shoes, right? So
Yeah.
barefoot. It's barefoot. Yes,
Barefoot. Yeah.
barefoot.
Okay.
Yes.
Barefoot. And
Yeah.
not sure if it's uh, necessary Romanian. Hugging a tree.
Yeah, I think it's working the land or being with your hands into the ground.
Hmm.
I mean, let's face it, every Romanian has some relatives that are in the rural area where they go and they
Hmm.
actually meet the chicken and they make this exchange in nature where
Hmm.
you go and you take a bag of potatoes or you leave with some flowers or
Hmm.
something, and well, Romania has quite a lot of land and the rural history and a very close connection to nature. I mean,
Hmm.
from folklore to all of our stories, from our
Hmm.
history, because I remember that some of the poems, of battles and everything, where we say
Hmm.
that the forest is the brother of the Romanian. There is a really close connection with nature there. We have a very strong herbal pharma industry. actually, which I'm very, very proud. Every time I come back to Romania, I love going to Plafar, and it's like a world of wonder for me because that is just using the natural principles. And also, I love looking into books about um, plants and learning about it, and whether it is in supplements or whether it is for cooking or whether it is for essential oils. It is learning about what well Mother Nature gives to us, and how we
Mm-hmm.
can uh, use it to give ourselves what we need to keep ourselves in balance, or how to rebalance.
Mm-hmm.
So every time there is an imbalance for myself or my family or my children, especially my children, which are growing, my go-to place is first something natural, something that maybe was not necessarily invented or discovered by science,
Mm-hmm.
because our bodies are wonderful. They have all healing mechanisms in place, and it is always best to well, strengthen the muscles, or get out of the way, or learn about this. And for me, reading and learning about the Ayurveda approach and about the Chinese medicine brought me quite a different perspective. Not
Mm-hmm.
everything is available, um, but it's just a discovery process. Because if you think about it in numbers, at the Indian and at India, you know how big as a country it is, or China, there are so many people who live by these principles, which are in a different part of the world, and then we can capitalize on that. Now, I'm not sure what to do at this stage, because I see that Markus is really struggling with getting his internet back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes, even if we
Yeah,
plan it, it is not meant to be happening at that time. We might need to
indeed.
come back at a different stage when the internet is collaborating.
Yeah, sure. I don't know why. I think if his Wi-Fi is not working, he could connect on mobile and
He
use
tried that, yeah. He tried the hotspot, but that didn't work
his
either.
mobile connection. However, if it's not possible that way, we'll reschedule is him. No problem. It's like spring weather because spring is our time now here in
Yes, it's the season we wanted to talk
yeah,
about, right?
and
This
it's a
is the
season we
wood
wanted to
element.
talk about. Pretty
Yes.
much, how to say it. Oh,
Oh, I think he's here. He's
yeah.
coming back, hopefully. Hi, Marcus.
Hi, good to see
Hi.
you.
Oh, I think
Maybe we have
we lost
lunch
you. Yeah,
and
we lost
dinner
you right
now.
about the moment I introduced you. Your image blocked and you disappeared. So
I'm
we
very sorry for that. I don't know what was happening here, so
it
I
is what
hope
it
now.
is.
Yeah, exactly,
It is
It's
what it
spring
is.
season,
It's spring season.
full of surprises.
exactly. And
So
okay, are we live or not?
we are live. We've been live for 25 minutes. I have introduced you already. We Let me tell you what we've talked about. So I talked a little bit about Qigong, about the Chinese wisdom, but I didn't go in detail. Vlad has asked me about the difference, how cultures approach it differently, a little bit on the well-being, or but also on this element of wisdom. And I think we were just reflecting a bit on the Romanian relationship with nature and wisdom and all of these aspects. So that's where we are. And then here you come. I didn't want it
so,
to say too
so
much because I know you're prepared.
so you have already done a very quick, rough overview of the whole content for today. So you are the real expert, Alina.
No, I think I don't think it's about necessarily being an expert. It is about curiosity and a lot of passion. And I'm so pleased to take this journey with you. It's the first one. Today it's about spring, but we have one session per season, so to speak. And we can let everybody know when they can meet us in the summer and then in the autumn and winter. But yes, I spoke up to now. So, Markus, here you go. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, okay. So thank you very much, Alina, for having me today here to this community. I'm very proud that I have the chance to be with you together here and to talk a little bit about the Chinese wisdom and how I was getting there, how it can help in our private lives, but also in the coaching and mentoring practice, what I assume is the main topic of the audience today here. So yeah, just you have given already a short update, I think, or a short introduction. So I'm unstoppable, and it's a topic for the first session. So even if we had the IT problems, thank you for keeping me calm and getting me back here into the session. So I don't know what's happening, but I'm very happy that I'm back. So as you have mentioned already, yes, we are looking into what the Chinese philosophies are bringing us, especially when we are looking into the season. So we have created here a sequence of 4 sessions, more or less, for the team. And so we would like to give today an overview about the spring, so being unstoppable, giving birth to something new, being curious about a new topic. And so for today, we would like to talk a little bit about yin and yang and what are the 5 elements, and starting also a little bit to talk about the element wood. So we will continue on that one for the next sessions, then in June, in October, and in early January 2023 already, just to go with the seasons and to give you a good overview. Yeah, about me. So my name is Markus. I am located here in Germany, Berlin. I have been moving around for nearly 20 times in Germany, getting to know the whole country. More or less, it was because of the parents. Then I moved to Stuttgart to study there after doing the Abitur next to or near to Frankfurt. And now I'm living here in Berlin with my wife and 5 children. One is doing his final exams at that moment in time, going to and finalizing school. And the smallest one is 5 years old. I have been working very long with a technology company, worldwide known as an HR leader. And it was around 2010 when I was getting into the topic of Chinese medicine. I got a flyer and I was asking myself, okay, what can I do better in terms of personal development and organizational development as an HR leader in the organization? I was supporting big business unit leaders, developing the organization. And yeah, I was getting into this Chinese medicine topic. I started 2012 to study it, getting into details. And I was so fascinated by the philosophy that I really used it in the business world, just to improve the selection of leaders and developing people within the organization. Yeah. So more or less, I was keeping with the 5 elements, but just to give you a flavor of what Chinese medicine is about. So basically, there are 5 pillars. It's the acupuncture, which a lot of people know. It's the herbal medicine. It's exercises, so they are calling it Qigong. I think, Alina, you talked about it a little bit. It's a massage, which is called Tuina, and for sure the 5th pillar is the nutrition. So really to take into account what we are eating, because we are the people, what we are eating. My vision is it with the 5 elements, really, and when I have taken you through a little bit what we can learn from the seasons and the elements, what we can do in order to see the other people more from a holistic perspective. And what I really would like to do is to help leaders to look at the talents of the employees more from a natural perspective. So, and this is something what I would like to give you here as a coach and mentor, so that you also maybe identify talents of people in a different way, and just to see, okay, how you can help them grow, which is, I think, our main objective. So yeah, and when we are talking about Chinese wisdom, we should know Lao Tzu. Yeah, he is the one who is supposed to have written the Tao Te Ching or Tao Te Ching. And he had one nice expression of saying, "He who knows others is wise, but he who knows himself is enlightened." So this is something what I would like to try really here to give you, not only to look into the other persons, but also to get to know you a little bit better. Getting into the concept of yin and yang or yang and yin, I think you all have seen this kind of element
Symbol.
already. So,
Yeah. The symbol of the yin and yang, I think it's familiar to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, let me dig a little bit into that one. So it's really not black and white, the world, yeah, because even if you're here in the white part of the world, you see a black dot and you see on the black one the white dot, which really means that everything is always there. So it's constant flowing, yeah, it's constant in movement. We are going there in a kind of a rhythm around it. And everything is always there. Maybe we see different things at a certain point in time, but we should remember that everything is there and everything is supporting each other. But sometimes also, because we are saying some persons are maybe seeing about another one, hey, you are seeing now everything very, very black. You are in the darkness. Yeah, so we can also give the people the indication, hey, even if there's darkness, there is a light. Which is helping you to move on and to go further. And
Right. When we were talking here, I was reminded of what my father was saying, that in every funeral there is a bit of laughter, and in every wedding there's a bit of crying. And I think that is the symbol of these dots, right? That there is in the white, there's always a little bit of the darkness. In any moment of sadness, there's a bit of joy, and the opposite. And it's the concept of duality and dualist that, well, actually, that you're going to tell us about.
Yeah, exactly. And I like it, because you can say during a wedding, okay, I'm losing my daughter, and it could happen to me a couple of times, or you're winning a further son, So that's exactly how you look at the world, how you're getting it. Yes, on the one hand, maybe it's a loss. On the other hand, you're gaining something. Thank you for jumping in here, Alina, and giving that kind of addition. Yeah. Yeah. So what I normally do when I'm speaking on the stage, I have with me here this little one. You know it, yeah? You know that? It's a snow
Yes,
blow.
the German Christmas markets, right?
What am I doing now, Alina, lad? I'm putting a lot of energy into that one, and what I'm telling the people, if you're putting a lot of energy, sometimes, you do not have really clarity what's behind. And that's what we are also seeing with this yang and yin. Yeah, you are seeing the white piece. Yeah, that is normally related to action, to doing something. But as important as doing something is really to be quiet in order to get the rest, until you can see this nice picture then. So that's, I think, one of the important lessons I would like really to give to the people. It's a part of doing, but also it's a part of resting. Yeah. And sports people are knowing that, because you have a run, but you also need to take a pause in order to get to the super compensation. Yeah. And that is bringing me back to the famous topic of myself from being a human doing to becoming a human being, and that kind. And we see that kind of yang and yin in our nature. We see it in the macrocosm as part of the moon cycle, and we see it in our own life, as I mentioned it already in the microcosm. Yeah, that's a very important aspect that we are saying, okay, what is seen in the macrocosm, it's resonating within us in the microcosm. And you can even talk to research biology persons who are saying, okay, in each cell that is replicated as well, So, and my question also here to the community is, how often do you feel that it's 5 to 12? saying that you are doing a job, that you are in your project, and before you are even finishing a project, you may know, okay, what the next job is where you're starting. So you're never getting really to the 12 o'clock, you're never getting into the dark piece in order to rest, but you are starting this next project already in order to move forward. So I think which is important, not just being on the light side, on the brightness, but also to take the rest to reflect and to integrate new experiences. Now, and just to give you a short flavor here on yin and yang, I think you mentioned it, Alina, in terms of the dualism. We are talking about day and night, sun and moon, about summer and winter, the lightness and darkness, about male and female. So I think this is something which is normally familiar with the one. So I have a question to you. If you're looking at water, is a water drop something like a yang or a yin? What do you think? Is there anybody live here who can answer the question?
Vlad is. Let's ask
Okay,
Vlad.
Vlad, it's your turn. So is water yang, yin or yin?
I think it's depending on how much you drink.
Okay, that's also a good.
But I would bet on yin.
Yeah. So basically, when we are taking into account the yin and yang, we are saying never that something is absolute. So it's always in comparison. So a water drop is something which is more yang instead of the iceberg. But if you have steam, sorry, it's now I was wrong. Water normally is yang in terms of the iceberg, and iceberg is yin. But on the other hand, steam is yang and water is yin when you have the comparison to steam, because then you have much more power in it, more energy. Yeah, it's more energy. So steam is yang and water yin. And when you compare water to iceberg, water is yang. So it's always that we need to relate the things to each other, and it's never absolute. Yeah. So I think that's an important aspect.
And also, I think there is this to keep this idea that every element can have a, it can be as a yin as a yang, right? And actually the balance come from these two parts, and there's a yin and yang in each moment and in each of us. So there isn't that there is only one or the other. It is a little bit like a plus and minus continuum, as we learn in mathematics, right? You have minus infinite and plus infinite, and the zero is, we can say, is the balance concept, right? And the yang would be more on the plus infinite, and the yin will be more on the minus infinite. And this exists into everything, the two halves.
Yeah. I totally agree, and let me add one more aspect. So, if you're a person who has a lot of power, then the power can be good if you use it wise, but if you're too powerful, you're breaking something. So it also depends really, also in terms of your emotions, and we are getting to that a little bit later. Yeah, so emotions can be sometimes good, that you are sad, but if you're feeling back and being just only sad, then it's too heavy, So exactly what you're saying, Alina. Yeah. So if you're looking also into the yin and yang, and we started with saying, okay, let us take it back a little bit to the seasonal cycle we are in. So we can also say that the spring, is the starting point of the yang, because yang means, okay, now the energy is coming back. We are giving something birth. In the summer, people are going out. There is, a lot of yang inside. And then you're getting into the autumn already. Then you're getting onto the other side, going back a little bit. You're saying that the leaflets are falling from the trees, the power is getting back into the trees. And in the winter months, you're getting really where you're trying to keep the small energy, which is maybe available, in the winter, just to be able to survive until the next spring cycle is starting. So we really see also the concept of yang and yin here in the nature, and what these Chinese people have been doing around 2,500 years ago, they were really trying to put that kind of analogy which they were finding in the nature, but also in a lot of other correspondences, they were trying to put it into a kind of process. So, and now I would like to introduce really to say, okay, if they are not talking about the spring or the other concepts, but they are talking about wood for the spring phase, they are talking about the fire, they are talking about metal and water. So these are the 5 elements or the 5 phases. Yeah, we are touching a little bit more in detail afterwards. And just in the middle of that one, they have been putting the earth, because they have said, okay, at the end of each season, at the end of the spring, you are moving into the fire. It's a kind of transformation. So that's a period of 18 days. Yeah, it's going back to the earth, and then you're getting into the fire. So you have a kind of a transition from one season into the other. So that's where they were putting in the initial cosmological cycle the earth into the middle. Just to make you now a little bit more, feeling a little bit more strange, there was also that the people were thinking in the kind of a second model, which is called the generating sequence. And then they were taking the earth out, and they were saying, okay, look, it's really between the fire and the metal aspects where we are saying, okay, now the earth is belonging. Because you could also say that in the wood phase, you have the spring, something is giving birth. Then you have the fire where you're getting, I don't know the right word, maybe you can help me, Alina. You see the small Knospen.
Buds? Yeah, well,
yeah,
buds. I think they're buds that are coming out of.
Exactly. So the buds in the summer or in the early summer, yeah, until they are getting really to nice fruits in the earth period. Yeah, at the end, at the late summer, you're getting all these lovely fruits back from it. Yeah. And then, you're getting into the yin phase where the nature is going back into regenerating, rejuvenating, reintegrating what they have been experienced. So that's a generating sequence.
Right.
Yeah. So, and if we put that together, we are talking always about change. So, and is change a new normal? Yeah, because we said, okay, we have seen so much change over the last couple of years, but basically, if we are looking now back to the seasonal cycle, we must say, okay, look, we are seeing this kind of cycle in the nature. It's something which is accompanying us. It's giving us also, and we're looking into it, a little bit of hope and structure and some kind of security, I would say. Yeah,
well, certainty and consistency, right? Because no matter what it happens in the little details, you can always count that no matter how bad a day was, it's still the night comes after it, and then a new day starts, right? So even if we had a season with a lot of rain, and spring is finishing and the summer will come in and the sun is shining more, so and that gives you indeed hope, and it gives you this moving forward, but also the staying the same ultimately. Because if we think about it, the humans that lived 3000 before, they still have a sun, they still have an earth, they still had the seasons, a moon, all of these aspects. And that is, I think, the element that stays the same.
And that's something which is very important when we are looking into the coaching and mentoring practice, or into something which we are seeing from an organizational perspective or helping a human being, so you could reflect a little bit back also in which situation a person maybe is at that moment, or a company or a project. So you could have a project which is just starting, where you're giving birth to something new. So you would be in the wood phase or within the spring energy, I would say, or you also know maybe from a team performance that you have 4 development stages when you are creating a team, so you're getting into the early summer where you need to have a lot of energies and getting the team together, and then somehow when the team has set up regulations and rules, you're getting into the late summer, you're getting into the transformation in order to build the fruits of the of it, and so you take also in projects the time to reflect, which is normally typical in the metal phase. You need to go back to rest, to reflect, to see what you have learned, to find the diamond, I would say, what is your diamond, and to sharpen your own diamond. So it's very important when you have been doing something like in the nature, that you are going back and saying, okay, what have I been learning in order to integrate new experiences then during the water phase into your portfolio of actions, of your social competence, and then taking the next level in terms of a bigger project, the next level in a management line, for example, setting up, going to a C level. So you can use that one as part of the development stages when you're talking to people and helping them progressing also their professional life, And you can have a look at that perspective in your own life, because in the spring period you are born, in the fire period you're just in the pubertate. How do you call it in English? Puberty? No.
I'm not sure what you're trying to convey.
The people between 12 and 16 years old, when the parents are getting nasty, the period for the young adults, before you're finalizing school. So that's really the fire period where you're talking to your friends, getting the first relationships, falling in love with a lot of people, that's really normal, typical for a fire phase. Then you're starting to bringing together a family in the transformation in the earth period. You're settling down, you're buying or building a house, and then with 40 you're getting a midlife crisis in the metal phase and saying, hey, was it that one? Or do I get to the getting to a wise person, so so we are seeing the rhythms of the seasons as part of that one. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of indication, okay, what are the kind of energies we are seeing? So we are in the spring period, and at that moment, the energy really is getting into all directions. You have a lot of ideas. You don't know exactly where you make a decision. You want to grow everywhere, so it's really important then to decide, to make a decision, okay, what do you want to study, for example? So in the coaching or mentoring, you would, when you see that someone has a lot of ideas, you need to help that person to get to a point, to make a point where he really want to focus on, In the fire phase, the energy is going upwards, because now you're saying, okay, I have found it. That's something what I want to take out into the world. Afterwards, you're transforming your ideas, so it's more getting the energy into the center. Afterwards, you're getting a little bit the reflection, so the energy is going back inside you. And in the winter phase, you know that yourself, the energy is going really down, that you need to keep it, So what is, just to give a flavor here to the team, so because we wanted to talk also about the wood element. And we said, okay, it's related to the spring, where everything is getting new. It's related from the perspective to the wind. So, and you know what wind is doing. Wind is changing the direction, possibly every second. So it's coming from different directions. So that's really when you take it into the person that this is a point where you're getting a lot of ideas, It's related to the morning, because you're standing up, you're making, that's already indicating that also from a movement perspective, you're more going outside, instead of a winter where you're snuggling down into your bed, It's where you're giving birth. So it's a period where you have a lot of power and where you need a lot of power just to go, to bring something to birth. Is it a new idea? Is it a new project? What is related to that one, that you need to have curiosity. So you need to think about, okay, what could be, and sometimes these people are even too curious because they have too many ideas. If you're not able to grow as fast as possible, what's happening?
If you're
You have a lot of ideas and you want to grow. What's happening?
You need to come into action, right? Take a decision.
You're already in action, you're doing something, and you're not getting forward. What's happening?
You can get frustrated or stuck.
Exactly. And the next level of being frustrated is really getting into the angel status, where you're saying, okay, where you're yelling at your classmates and the other people. And now you can see other people in an organization. Maybe wood people normally, they need a lot of place. Imagine a tree, so a big tree. If you're getting into a forest, he's trying to make place. So maybe that person also has or are using some kinds elbows, just to make a career just up to the air because they want to go where the light is. So, and if this is not going fast enough, if they're not making career fast enough, then you have a typical maybe challenge in your mentoring and coaching where you're saying, okay, I think I need to look at that person, okay, how he's behaving, what is the typical energy he normally has, how can I maybe take the energy and to move it into the right direction. Yeah, it's related to the color green. I think you have already imagined that one, because the text is in yellow, the trees are in yellow. So it's, if you're looking at a person, he may have a lot of green around it. Yeah, and that's normally also a person who has a very a good how do you call it? He's normally from a speaking perspective, he's more shouting. Yeah, if you have a earth person like a mom who is taking home everyone, that person is more singing. But we will talk about that one in the next session. But that person here is really shouting. Yeah, I was once in a hotel or in a nice pension, and there was also bed and breakfast provided. And that person told me at 8 o'clock, there's breakfast. And at the first morning, I thought, okay, breakfast 8 to 10, it's fine. But that person was crying at 7:59 exactly and shouting, breakfast is ready. So that was already a first indication that this is really more a person who has a lot of energy, who has a lot of ideas. So you get some ideas already about what kind of temperament or element a person is, maybe just to have an indication, and then to say, okay, how I can work and react with these people. Yeah, and from that perspective, also when you're looking into the Chinese medicine, it's related to the eyes, and for sure there are much more um, analogies to other topics within the Chinese medicine, which is a Chinese doctor using normally if you're going there and he's looking at a holistic point of view, what are the person sitting next to you, just to get a lot of ideas and then helping them to bring back the balance in a person, because if you have something too much from anything, then you need to see, okay, how you can reduce it, how you can balance it with the other four energies we are talking about in the next sessions. So it's just to give you a flavor what a wood person or a spring person is about, what kind of energy you may be able to observe. And maybe at the end of the sessions, or maybe in October and in January, when you get a little bit more of feeling of that one, we can also have a look into, okay, how these are interacting and how we can influence that. Good. So that's typical for the wood element. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And if you're looking now that into mentoring or coaching, it's helping you, because if you are starting a new coaching process with a person, if you're starting a coaching session, you always need to agree on what is the topic for today. And the wood person is coming with 20 points and you need to stop him. And the water person maybe is sitting there and, I don't know exactly. I want to talk. So there are other persons, a more yin person where you need to take really something, where you need to get something out of that person, maybe in order to really find the topic. So it's giving you some kind of indication. But the spring or the wood energy is really more related to the beginning of a process or a coaching session. And when you would ask me, okay, where I can use the 5 elements as well is really when you're looking into the coaching, or I would assume also mentoring guidelines, where you're saying, okay, I'm looking at the person from an holistic perspective, that you're not just trying to cover a topic, but just to get into the prospect where you're saying, okay, who is the person sitting next to me and who could this person be, So that's something what I think it's very helpful, just to look at the person from a different perspective and integrate that in your coaching and mentoring practice.
So actually, you would say, okay, in front of me, I have a more of a wood person. So what would balance a wood person, right? So then, what does a person need? But you understand which of the elements are playing a bigger role, and then you understand, yeah, where is it? What could be the imbalance here, and in which direction to kind of explore.
Exactly. So we have said that we have seen 5 elements and 5 energies. And typically, normally, a person has 2 elements which are a little bit more important. And you can maybe take that, or you may remember yourself that in a way that you have sometimes a kind of an internal dialogue in your brain. That on the one hand, they're saying someone, hey, that's a new project. Hey, that's great. And on the other hand, maybe your earth element says, hey, it's good here where you are. Don't change. Why do you want to do something new? So you typically, very typical, that's one of the very typical combinations, between the wood person and an earth person, because a wood person is outgoing, would like to do something different, would like to go out. And an earth person is staying at home, being a couch potato. Just to give you really the ends of maybe wood and wood on the earth element, but that is then starting a dialogue in yourself. And we have said, or taking forward Lao Tzu, the person who knows himself is wise, So I think you need to really identify, or help a person maybe to identify what are the key elements which are maybe happening in a person, and then to see, okay, how you can balance it with the other elements, But that is really something what we can have a look at a later stage, because I think first we need really to explore a little bit more the other elements, and then we can have a look also into, okay, what we can do in order to balance it, Okay, great. Any questions, Alina? So I think you have been looking into the chat, so I hope that someone was still remaining, even if we started late. Do you have any further questions?
No, we don't have any questions. I saw a big smile from Glenda Luco. But I am, I know a bit of this stuff, and I was with you in the journey a bit to prepare it. But I am curious because it's the first time for Vlad, and I am curious if anything popped up for him. And Vlad is coming back with us.
Yes, sure. No, the only thing it was that I closed the mic because I have some funny dogs around me, around my
I was wondering where is their nature that is talking
block
to
of
us.
flats. No, it's just they are on the street, but I love to be with the window open, so to get air and sun
Spring.
inside the room. And sometimes they start to barking, and I'm sure that they are heard. So that's why I stop the mic, and it's a short delay to open the mic. So it was a very nice introduction. It was really like a spring, and it just coming to uh, uh, opening the flower. I don't know how to say the beginning of the flower. And for me, it was very interesting to realize that there are several concepts like yin and yang that we take in our life day by day, sometimes without know knowing exactly the meaning. And all that you said so far, I think sets the stage for the next sessions. And I do hope I will be a regular for your sessions.
Thank you, Vlad, for your comments. And I will promise that next time you will say, "Oh, I'm a fire and earth person," and then you will be a metal person, and then you will be a winter person. And then at the end of the 4 sessions, it will become interesting again to see, okay, what do you think now do you have inside? What are the typical ones, What can you really take forward in order to strengthen, or to what you can do in order to balance the elements depending on which situation you are, and which is getting into you or what's happening around you, in terms of other people. So we all have everything. It's just a different distribution, Some people are more that one, where other people there. But the good thing is that we have normally everybody has a little bit of everything, and so you can touch point on that one and to get it, or you're getting from help from external just to balance yourself, But that's something what we really can explore in the upcoming sessions.
Thank you. And
Okay.
I think there was something else that probably Markus will bring next time, which was a correspondence between the elements, the 5 elements, and different preferences of behaviors. But not only that, there were different aspects into a person, colors, and other elements. We saw the seasons, and you told us about that the wood element actually corresponds to the spring. So we are still in the spring um, at the moment. So the wood element is at play. And what does that mean, for the people that actually have this element more? I think they might be feeling at home. This is why, maybe why, when we ask certain people, what is your favorite season? These people, probably the people with the wood element, most likely will say, spring is my favorite season, because it is the season when everything comes to life and everything gets green, and there is movement and waking up and going out and being in nature and all of those elements. But what would you say to that, on how you can use this um, season information and the elements at this moment?
So you're totally right, that at that moment we are influenced by the spring energy, but a person who may have already a lot of spring energy in itself, it could become too much. So I can tell you from my experience, I'm a wood person, I'm a full wood person, So, and we have a tiger year, which is related to the wood. So I need to be very, very careful at that moment that I'm not trying to follow each of the ideas which I have in my mind. Yeah, they are coming on an hourly basis, new ideas, and I need to say, okay, it's very good. Stop it here. Take a note. And I think that's something what people needs to take into account. Maybe if you're asking, okay, why I'm getting at that moment so many ideas, it could be because of the spring and that you're resonating with that one. But if it's really getting too much, you need to be careful. You need to take care of your energy. You need to focus especially on resting, because otherwise you're getting headaches, you're getting migraines because the energy is going up. It's getting into your head, it's windy, and so you need to be very, very careful that this is not damaging or bringing you out of balance. For a person like a earth person or a water person, this spring energy is good because it's giving you really energy in order to move forward, and to get a little bit more power into yourself, and this is supporting you.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. So we will travel through the seasons and the elements. We will travel together with Marcus, and hopefully, next time also the internet will collaborate. But we don't know, and everything is part of the process, I would say. I, for one, I am taking with me a lot of knowledge about the wood personality, because now it's a little bit more clear, and also all of those aspects. So whether it's the color, the emotional preference, the idea generation. So I'm taking this, actually the way I organize the information, for me it is at mental level, emotional level, body level, and maybe a bit there's an element of energy. So there is an energy level and spiritual. And yeah, I think I've planted something for each of them for the wood personality. And I'm curious, Vlad, what are you taking with you from this session?
It's very interesting, the German style. So we have a good delay, which was not good from technical perspective, but allow us to compare Chinese wisdom with different wisdom from different other culture. But I really appreciate you was able to get a lot of information in the time remain, and we was just on timing. And I will take from my coaching and mentoring capacities curiosity, to be open to learn from different culture, and to think how can I integrate them in my day to day. Or as I said, we already, most of us, integrated yin and yang, but now I can think more of it with greater awareness. And I also like very much the metaphor with how, I sorry, but I don't know in English at this moment. There are weddings, and you said yin and yang with weddings and
Funerals.
funeral. Yeah,
Now, so there's a little bit
yeah,
of crying in
yeah,
every
yeah.
wedding and a little bit of laughter in every
Mhm.
funeral, which
Yeah.
is that symbolistic of the yin and yang with the dot. That's why there is a
Mhm.
dot. There is never a completely dark
Mhm.
or completely bright. And that is life, and that
Yeah,
is, well, no, I'm not going to say normal. That is
yeah,
balance. It's not normal, it's balance.
indeed, indeed.
Marcus, 3 points that you want to leave us with from today?
Um, I think we covered today really a lot.
Hmm.
It was a kind of an introduction to the yin and yang, just to give you a different flavor on how you can see it, how you can relate it. You know, what I really would like to do is, or what I would ask you, it's just when you are now, until we met the next time, that you may take a sheet of paper or a booklet, and you're observing where you see something, how you are feeling when you're doing something new, if you like it, if you don't like it. Yeah, as you have mentioned that you're looking a little bit into the colors, what you like, not like, just to be a little bit more aware and conscious about yourself and the other person. So just maybe try to look at the persons in a different way. You know, we will do that. You will increase your awareness over the next couple or until January, definitely. Yeah. So I think this is something where you may have an own booklet a little bit to make some notes what you are observing and how you are feeling when you're going back into the nature. You know, that's one of the important aspects, I think, which was helpful when I was getting into this kind of topic. You know, and feel it. You know, feel your emotions. You know, because that's something what we are doing really too less. We are too facts driven, too data driven, at least normally in the Western world, you know. So if we have been maybe opening a little bit of space to look a little bit more into the emotions, into the energy perspectives, and that it could be okay that we are feeling maybe tired and that we are taking a rest. I think we made already an impact for well-being and the balance, So that's what I want to give you. In the next session, I would cover shortly on what we have been doing today, very shortly, and then introduce a couple of more things and also the correspondences, as Alina has mentioned, But I think for today, that was already a lot, and I hope that people have been enjoying it, getting into it, and maybe getting now a little bit more of new insights and maybe trying to get a little bit more information on it.
Thank you. Yes, and I think the next session is going to be at the beginning of July, and we're going to talk about the summer, which is the early summer and the late summer, as you are saying, and we're going to talk about the elements of the fire and the earth, because to put us and prepare us, for the next step, which is going to be autumn. But just to leave us for the future. Thank you so much for whoever is watching. If you have any questions, please leave them on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We can always come back to you. And we hope to have you next to us on next session in July when we meet the summer. And thank you, Markus, so much for, staying with us, hanging in there, and getting to us even later, calmly focused and with so many information. Thank you, Vlad, for joining us today. And wishing you 2 very green and balanced months until we see each other in July.
Thank you very much. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
for summertime.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Alina, for being with you today. It was a
Thank you,
great pleasure.
Markus.
Yeah. Thank you.